Blood Moon Rising, Episode 3, An Uninvited Guest.
Do not be afraid.
Vidarr whispered to the woman cowering in the corner.
Leave her.
Tyr said firmly.
No. She is the only person who can tell us what happened.
We must get out of here.
Crouching lower, he inched closer and extended his hand.
I mean you no harm. Come to me.
A slender figure slithered in the shadows, drawing closer. A willowy arm reached out from the darkness. Each finger trembled and quaked. Her skin glowed from the soft light trickling in from the window. Without uttering a word, she slipped her palm into his. Her flesh was cold, icy cold. Vidarr saw two amber-colored orbs pierce through the blackness. Their hypnotic glimmer captured him. Suddenly, a wave of whispers filled his ears. The sinister tones thundered inside his head as he gazed into the shimmering pools of gold. He could not look away. They flickered like flames, stripping him of his free will. In the distance, he heard the howl of a wolf grow louder, melting into a deep-throated growl that ripped the air. Instinct told him to flee, but the liquid gold orbs held him captive. He felt as if he were drowning. Something had rendered him useless. An icy chill raced down his spine as he fought to breathe. His lungs spasmed. Pain seared through his chest. With one last gasp, he parted his lips and wheezed. Gradually, the amber glow disappeared into shadow. The voices that once echoed in his mind evaporated. Little by little, the grey mist began to thin, fading into nothing. Without a word, the woman crawled into Vidarr's arms and pressed against him, molding her naked body to his. She slid into his lap and snaked her arms around his shoulders.
Help me,
she whispered, burying her face in the crook of his neck.
Tyr, find her some clothes.
Tyr nodded and scurried out of the room. Vidarr held her close as she shivered from fear. He looked at her and asked,
Who did this to you?
the men who became wolves.
Vidarr closed his eyes. He had heard stories of these warriors. The Ulfhedna, more fierce than berserkers and twice as cunning. These fighters cloaked themselves in wolf pelts, believing the animal's spirit would possess them. Blinded by rage, they would bite their shields and succumb to the beast inside, attacking wildly, leaving no survivors. These warriors often captured wolves and trained them for battle. That would explain the tracks found outside. Sensing her terror, he reassured her, saying,
I will protect you.
Vidarr,
Tyr hurried into the mead hall, holding an underdress and a pair of boots.
this was all I could find. We must leave now.
Go and find the others.
Vidarr said quietly, taking the garment.
Don't let them kill me.
She said quietly.
I will do everything in my power to keep you safe.
Do you swear?
Her words were provoking. Her tone was ominous. It was almost as if Vidarr were making a deal with something malevolent, something evil. Vidarr heaved a breath and replied,
Yes, I swear it.
A gentle smile curled her lips. He watched as the woman slipped the dress over her head and arms. The linen fell over her breasts and hips, hugging every contour as it drifted over her legs. He cleared his throat and asked,
What is your name?
Kindra.
She uttered, slipping on the boots.
We must go.
He said, heading toward the door. Step by step, they skirted down the narrow hallway. Sinister shadows stretched across the walls. Floorboards creaked under their feet. The stench of smoke and death permeated the air. Little by little, Vidarr navigated his way across the room toward the doorway. The light grew brighter. His instincts told him to get out as fast as he could. He had to keep moving. Time was running out. Something brushed against him. He could almost feel the wolf breathing down his neck. Dark whispers echoed inside his mind. Those dark whispers transformed into growls.
Vidarr,
Ulrich called out, watching two people stumble out of the long house.
I have gathered your army, Vidarr. Everyone is here.
Have you found anything?
no,
Ulrich replied.
we have searched every langhouse in the village, and there is no silver anywhere.
Vidarr had a good idea who had hidden it.
Where is Jarl Saxbian?
We have not found him. No one is here but the dead.
One Eye answered.
Who is this?
Ingun asked, looking at the woman who stood by Vidarr.
Her name is Kindra, and she is under my protection.
Where is he? Where is Jarl Saxbian?
Ingun glared at the woman while advancing. Vidarr stepped between them.
I'm the one who asks the questions.
Bronn stepped forward, grinding his teeth.
We came here for Saxbun Silva.
We will find it. Be patient.
Patient, it is time to act instead of talk.
I am the one who leads this army, not you.
I'm not leaving empty-handed.
You will leave handless, if you are not careful.
He brandished his axe.
Remember, Bronn, you are the outsider here. If it had not been for your uncle, you would not be standing in front of me right now. Take heed.
Bronn stepped forward, clutching his sword, ready to fight.
I'm not leaving until I get what I came for. If not Silva, then I will take her instead.
Vidarr stepped in front of Kindra.
Don't push me. I will leave your body here, among the rest of the dead.
How soon have you forgotten that I am King Ranulf's king?
Bronn swung his sword. Vidarr blocked the strike with his shield and swiped his axe in front of Bronn's face.
You bleed like the rest of us.
Tension filled the air as a flurry of slashes bombarded him. He deflected them with his buckler and retaliated with a swing of his axe, cutting, slashing. The battle raged on, shield against shield. The fight escalated, hacking, chopping. The sound of crashing metal tainted the air. Vidarr brought his weapon down hard on his enemy's buckler, splitting the wood, rendering it useless.
Stand down.
Never.
Bronn growled, throwing his shield to the side. Vidarr smiled as the young upstart raised his sword high above his head. With one powerful thrust, he rammed into Bronn, throwing the burly warrior to the ground. The sword hit the dirt with a dull thud. Silence deadened the air. Pressure mounted. He had beaten Bronn in a fair fight. Now was time to finish it, he thought, gripping his weapon. Bronn needed to learn a lesson that he would not forget. He could care less that Ranulf was Bronn's uncle. King or no king, no one crossed Vidarr the Vengeful and lived to tell the tale. Vidarr raised his axe slowly, ready to deliver the final blow. Suddenly, an ear-piercing scream shattered the silence.
Stop! Let go of me.
Vidarr turned.
Ingun, let her go.
Tell us where the horde is, or I will rip you apart piece by piece.
Ingun hissed, wrenching Kindra's arm. The bones in Kindra's shoulder started to grind. A stabbing pain shot through her arm.
The crags. The crags of Stordentin.
Where is Jarl Saxbian?
He is dead.
You lie.
I swear it. He died fighting to save me.
What makes you such a prize?
I was his wife.
Vidarr lowered his weapon. Saxbian's wife? Why hadn't the king told him about this?
Let her go.
The pressure on Kindra's shoulder subsided just before she felt a powerful shove from behind. She stumbled forward and tripped over her own feet. Every muscle in her body had tightened before she hit the dirt. A jagged rock sliced into her skin, searing pain ripped through her forearm. Catching her breath, she looked down and saw blood gushing from the deep gash. She sat up and clutched her arm. Bright crimson flowed onto the grass, splattering the ground.
Leave her.
She is under my protection. She is coming with us. This woman can lead us to the crags.
Vidarr turned to his men.
Gather your weapons. We leave for Stordenton. Now.
Vidarr shot Bronn a wary eye, watching him scramble to his feet. Anger shot through him. The king's nephew did not know who he was dealing with. If it had not been for the king, he would have killed Bronn before leaving Scratterfell, but that would not have been in his best interest. Too much was at stake. Nevertheless, he had to make his point clear. Gritting his teeth, he closed his fist and leaned back. With one powerful surge, he punched Bronn in the face. The force of the impact knocked him to the ground. Vidarr loomed over Bronn as the young upstart rubbed his jaw.
If you challenge me again, I will kill you.
Vidarr harnessed his axe on his belt and stalked away. He had no time for trouble in the ranks. There was too much at risk. Vidarr and his men had to find Saxby's silver and leave Lofoten Island as soon as possible. With the Ulfidner lurking in the forest, he could not afford to make a mistake.
We have no time to spare. Daylight will soon fade. Let's go.
Just before leaving the gates of Danvik, Vidarr turned and locked eyes with Kindra. The amber-colored orbs held his gaze for a brief moment. The sound of Odin's voice echoed in his mind.
Beware of what yearns to ensnare you, and victory will be yours. Death can bring forth life. Nothing is what it seems.
Was this woman friend or foe? Could she be leading them into a trap? He was not counting on an uninvited guest joining their band of warriors, but he could not leave Kindra behind. She was alone, vulnerable. This woman was the only survivor left in the village, the only one who knew where the horde was. There was no other choice but to trust her. Vidarr thought, as they entered the wood. Suddenly, the hair on the back of his neck stood on end, hearing the howl of a lone wolf echo through the forest. Coming July 4th, 2024. Blood Moon Rising, Episode 4. The Slaughter of Danvik.